Yo, 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 it's your boy Bess, and welcome to the NFL Vault. Inside the Vault, we'll be giving you highly classified takes about the upcoming 2025 NFL season. On today's episode, me, Rell, and Jerrick will be previewing the AFC and the NFC North, and we'll also be answering three very crucial questions going into the 2025 NFL season. What coach, player, and team is under the most pressure this year, and also ending this episode with a very bold prediction. So without any further ado, let's open the vault. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off with the AFC North. All right, this is the AFC North that has been a bloodbath over the past couple of years. All right, featuring the Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and Browns. We're going to let y'all know how this division's going to end up by the end of the season. All right, so starting at fourth place, Rell, let us know who you got.
Yes, sir. So I feel like this is an easy answer. We all know the Cleveland Browns. They're not a good team. They haven't been a good team in a while, and they just lost their second best player they had, Nick Chubb. So I strongly think that the Browns will be the worst team in that division by far.
All right, Jerrick, who you got at fourth place?
Like you said, it's a no-brainer. I agree as well. Like the Browns don't even know who their starting QB is right now. They have four guys that they have battling out for the QB job. Shador Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco. Like you traded for Kenny Pickett and then you drafted Dylan Gabriel, and a couple rounds later drafted Shador Sanders. Like there's so many question marks throughout that organization. Like you said, Nick Chubb's gone. Is Jerome Ford going to be able to take over that load like fully? We know he did whenever Nick Chubb was hurt. And then, like, that defense doesn't scare me, honestly. Outside of Myles Garrett, yes, Denzel Ward is nice. They have a couple of guys in secondary, but the defense doesn't scare me, and the offense definitely doesn't, especially when we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So, yeah, we definitely have the Cleveland Browns finishing last in the division.
All right, I think we all agree that Cleveland will be fourth in the division. All right, I think that by the mid-season, I think it's going to turn into an audition team. Right, what quarterback is going to give the best tape for them to move forward with? Because Joe Flacco, being as old as he is, I don't think this team is good enough for him to get them to the playoffs. So by mid-season, when their record is so bad, I think as an organization, I'm saying, okay, let's let Kenny Pickett play a couple games. Let's let Shador play a couple games. Let Dylan Gabriel play a couple games. Because that's how we're going to figure out who our quarterback is going to be moving forward if they have all four by the time the season starts. All right. But this team, like Jerry said, on the defensive side, outside of Myles Garrett, who's really making plays? Denzel Ward is a top 10 corner in the league, but does he make top 10 corner plays on a daily basis? I don't think he does. Right now, they did go and draft Mason Graham first round of Michigan, who's a solid D lineman. But I think the Cleveland Browns dropped the ball when they did not go and get Abdul Carter with that second pick in the draft. I would have by far got Abdul. Had Abdul and Myles Garrett, that would have been probably one of the best pass rushing duos in the whole entire league. But they went ahead and got Mason Graham. They traded back actually. Remember Travis Hunter ended up going second with Jacksonville. So I think they dropped the ball with that one. But the Browns, they're gonna be last in the division. They're in a tough division already. So you're looking at worst case scenario, they could have 6 losses just in the division, right? And then they probably got a top 5 pick next year as well. All right. But moving on to third place, Rell, who you got?
So this is probably gonna be an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go ahead and say the Pittsburgh Steelers. And just hear me out. Hear me out when I say that. They got Aaron Rodgers coming to town. I think Aaron Rodgers is getting older. I think he's just getting worse as time goes on. I know you guys said he had a good season last year, but I think he's just getting older, and as time goes on, he has no weapons. Like his weapons last year were way better than what he has this year. This year he just has DK Metcalf, who we all agree is not a very good number one receiver when he's by himself. So we all say every time we get on the podcast, the Steelers got to prove they have more weapons, and I just don't see that happening. But I think that defense will be solid. And I'm not saying the Pittsburgh Steelers will be trash or anything. I'm just saying they'll be the third best team in that division. That division is typically a very good division.
Yeah. I got you. Jerry, who you got third in the division?
I don't have the Pittsburgh Steelers third. I have the Cincinnati Bengals. And I'm going to be quite honest with y'all. This division, outside of my top 2 teams, I don't think this division is going to be that good this year. I'm not confident in the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's who I have third. I have the Cincinnati Bengals at third. They're outside of their offense, which is literally just Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Chase Brown's solid running back. They have nothing on defense that scares me. Trey Henderson, he hasn't signed his deal yet. He'll probably get his deal done. I know. I heard that he's going to reports at training camp, so he stopped getting his $50,000 fine a day. He will be holding in. He's not going to practice. They just signed Shamar Stewart, but even with Shamar Stewart, Even with Trey Hendrickson, I'm still not scared of that defense. This is a team that lost to the New England Patriots last year. They lost to New England with Jacoby Brissett, I might add, not Drake May. Jacoby Brissett, New England. They lost to the Washington Commanders last year early on in the season before we thought the Washington Commanders were going to be good. Like, nothing puts fear in my heart for this team, honestly. I really don't. I think that they're going to have a pretty poor year. And if we're being quite honest, their head coach might be looking at changing their head coach because I don't think they're going to be successful at all. I have Cincinnati at third.
Yeah, I think going into this offseason, the priority should have been re-signing Trey Hendrickson or extending Trey Hendrickson, and then adding. You could have. So with doing that, I'm saying they should not have re-signed T. Higgins. Is what I'm saying. They should win the draft first round, go grab a receiver because you have Joe Burrow, who's the top 5 quarterback in the league. We all agree on that. You also have a player who's arguably the best receiver in the league in Jamar Chase. I'm sure that you can go and find a receiver in the draft that can easily transition to the NFL. We've seen it every single year. Last year, we saw Brian Thomas Jr., Lad McConkey, and Malik Neighbors transition right into the NFL. No problem. Right? Receiver is a position where you can just jump into the NFL and put in the same production you had in college. So to me, they could have addressed the receiving room easily by drafting one in the first round and making sure you prioritize Trey Hendrickson, and then some more money could have been used on other defensive players. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, what do they have on this defense? Shamar Stewart, Jerry brought him up, was a first round pick, but how many sacks did he have in college? Was it like 4, 3, something like
Like
that?
3, I think, 3.5, something
Like
like that.
3. So I'm not even confident that he's going to come in and give you first round pick production, right? So to me, it's the same thing they did last year. They're just running it back. They're saying, okay, last year we didn't have no defense, but we had a good offense. So this year, guess what? We're not going to have good defense. We're going to have a good offense. Like, it's the same thing. They didn't make any moves that makes me say, okay, they're getting better in this spot, which was the defense. A lot of games last year where Joe Burrow had a shootout with an opposing team, and guess what? They couldn't get the job done. Joe Burrow's room for error is so minimal. Like, he can't make mistakes because the defense is so poor. The defense is so bad. So I think they're going to end up being third. And I think that honestly, I don't have them making the playoffs, to be quite honest with you. And that's a knock on Zach Taylor, not on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow will have another great year, like he did last year. Jamar Chase will have another great year, like he did last year. They just won't get over the hump, which is getting into the playoffs because of this defense. When it was like competitive a couple years ago, when they went to the Super Bowl, their defense wasn't all world. Their defense was good enough. Right? It was average, right? Because it wasn't giving up too many points and it was making plays here and there. But now they're giving up crazy points, crazy yards. They're not making no plays. So I think this team's going to be third in this division again. I honestly don't think they're going to make the playoffs. All right. So moving on to second place in the AFC North. Rell, who you got?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go ahead and go back down to Cincinnati. And the reason why I say Cincinnati is a lot of people say they didn't make the right moves, but I said they made the perfect moves. Go ahead and re-sign Jamar Chase, one of the best players in the NFL, like you just said. Then go ahead and re-sign T. Higgins, who, if they didn't re-sign T. Higgins, he would have been a number 1 receiver somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? T. Higgins was gonna get that money no matter what. Then your next move is draft a D lineman, sign Trey Hendrickson. They drafted D lineman Shamar Stewart. You guys say he might not be that good. College and NFL level is 2 different levels, so his potential is through the roof though, with athletic ability. Then they're bringing Trey Hendrickson back to training camp. They're trying to get a deal done. They get a deal done. This Bengals team is going to be as dangerous as they were a couple years ago when they made the Super Bowl. Like, this is Joe Burrow they have. You know what I'm saying? This is Joe Burrow, and he has a full training camp with T. Higgins, a full training camp with Jamar Chase. Man, chemistry is going to be on point. Week 1, everybody's going to be there. I got the Bengals being the second best team in the division, and they made all the right moves, man. With their first round pick, they drafted Shamar Stewart. They had to add to the defense. Their second round pick, they drafted a linebacker, Demetrius Knight from South Carolina. They added to their defense. You got to protect the money, man. You got to protect Joe Burrow. With their third pick, they drafted Dylan Fairchild. With their fourth pick, they drafted Barrett Carter, another linebacker. So you know what I'm saying? They addressed the positions that they needed to address. So
here's my only question real quick before Jerry goes. Do you think they would have been okay without bringing T. Higgins back? Like, they let T. Higgins walk. Are you confident that Joe Burrow would still be able to put numbers up, assuming they draft a receiver in the draft or one of their third guys, fourth guys on the depth chart still at number 2? You still got Jamar Chase, right? So do you think they would have been okay without bringing T. Higgins back?
100%. Like you said, Joe Burrow's an MVP type of guy. He could do that with anybody. But T. Higgins is a locker room guy. How many times did you hear Jamar Chase say, "I want T back"? How many times did you hear
Facts.
Joe Burrow say, "I want T back"?
Facts.
You got to listen to your
It's
guys.
very true. You are right. But as an organization, I hear you, right? Make your QB happy, right? They say happy wife, happy life, happy QB, happy organization, right? That's normally how it goes. But when it comes to T. Higgins specifically, like Joe Burrow to me is a quarterback that doesn't need two number one receivers. You see what I'm saying? He's a guy that I think can make it work with Jamar Chase and some other guys. That's how much faith I have in Joe Burrow. So you could have took that money and prioritized it elsewhere. That's all I'm saying. But I got you. You made Joe Burrow happy, so who knows? He'll have another MVP season, but they'll still go what 9-8, whatever they did last year. So go ahead, Jerry. Who you got in second place in the AFC North?
I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at second. I think that they had a great offseason. Like, we honestly had a great offseason, speaking from a Steelers fan standpoint. We got done what we need to get done. You re-signed TJ Watt. That was going to be my biggest concern, because I didn't think we were going to be willing to give him that contract because of his age, but we gave him the contract. Last time we signed TJ Watt, he tied the sack record that upcoming season. We went out. We got guys like Jalen Ramsey. We got guys like Darius Slay. Are they in their prime still? No, but they're better than what we had last year. We got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, but that's okay. Like, we really sacrificed one player to be able to bring back TJ, to bring in guys like Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay. We have young guys on that defensive side. Our first round pick, I wasn't too happy about it when it happened, because I did want to get a quarterback. I did think we were going to get Shedeur Sanders, but he's a dog. I'm hearing early on in camp, like, he's making real plays. And if you look at last season, our biggest problem down the stretch and in the playoffs was the run defense. This is really what he's going to be able to help with. And then the offensive side, lost George Pickens, brought in DK Metcalf. I'm not too upset about that. I thought we were going to have both of them at the same time, which would have been great. But we have one of them. We have DK Metcalf. He's a solid wide receiver. He really is. But this is my biggest point right here as to why the Steelers will be successful, more successful than they were last year. Because past season made the playoffs. Did pretty good, I should say, for the team that we have, for the quarterback we had. This is the first time since like 2018 that coming into the season, Mike Tomlin has had a quarterback that finished top 10 in passing yards the previous season. First time since 2018. We finally have somebody at the quarterback position that I'm willing to hang my hat on and say he can get the job done. Is this prime Aaron Rodgers? No, but it doesn't need to be because of the defense that he has. Is he lacking weapons around him? Yes, that might be true, but look what he did in Green Bay. Am I comparing DK Metcalf to Devontae Adams? No, not at all. They are mild worlds apart. But with the mediocre receiving core outside of Devontae Adams, he's putting up MVP stats. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out here and just go crazy, throw for 500, 400 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. No, but he's Aaron Rodgers. He's able to get the job done. He's still able to put the ball where it needs to be on time. I am very confident in this Pittsburgh Steelers team. They're going to make the playoffs. And although I have them finishing second in the AFC North, I think it's going to be by 1 or 2 games. Like, it really might come down to that Week 18 matchup in Pittsburgh against Baltimore. That might determine the division. I'm very confident in this Pittsburgh Steelers team, more confident than I've been in a long time. So I have Pittsburgh finishing second.
I agree. I'm going with Pittsburgh at second. It's only right that I put Pittsburgh at second because I'll explain Baltimore next. But with the Steelers, the one thing that I have been telling a lot of people, y'all know I do my TikTok lives and everything. I've been having arguments with people about Aaron Rodgers. And I tell y'all, if y'all go look at Mahomes, Josh Allen stats from last year, they match Aaron Rodgers stats. Now, Aaron Rodgers does not give you the upside in rushing that Mahomes and Josh Allen gives you, right? I'm just going based on what they did from the pocket. And their stats matched. Yards, touchdowns, interceptions. Y'all go look it up. They matched. All right. But like Jake said, we don't need Aaron Rodgers to be MVP Rodgers. We don't need that. Now, could that end up being, when we get to the playoffs, a problem as to why we can't get deep in the playoffs, that we don't have a quarterback that can take over games? Sure. Maybe that will end up being a problem. But do I think Aaron does he have one more good run in him? I think so. I honestly can hang my hat on that. I asked a Jets fan the other day, what was the biggest problems in New York? Because I think the biggest problem with Pittsburgh right now, everybody's talking about the QB position, right? They think Aaron Rodgers is washed. He's not good enough. I asked a Jets fan the other day on my TikTok live. I said, hey, What was the problem last year in New York? He said the O-line, by far. He said Aaron was getting pressured almost every play. He said that. Then he said also a lack of a run game. There was no run game, right? With Pittsburgh, you're going to have a run game. Jalen Warren, who was a solid number 2. We got to see him as a number 1. But Caleb Johnson, who we drafted in the 3rd round, right? I think he can step in and be the RB1 eventually. Or we'll have a 1-2 punch. All right? Our offensive line. Last year, when we was winning games, the O-line looked good. Okay? It's not until right tackle went down, right? We ended up taking Broderick Jones out, put a right tackle in that we drafted in the 1st round last year. He gets hurt, moved Broderick back to right tackle. Broderick Jones has been struggling at right tackle. His natural position is left tackle. So this year, we're moving him back to the left. Right, we got a 1st round pick from last year, moving him to the right. Right, and then we have, according to Pro Football Focus, a top 5 center in Zach Frazier. Right, and then we got Ozzie Seumalo, left guard, and then we have another rookie we drafted last year. Can I think of his name? At our left guard. No, right guard, Seumalo, left guard. The O-line looks good. Okay, if you give Aaron a clean pocket, he can make it work. Now, the question mark to me is Roman Wilson. That's the question mark. Calvin Austin, we saw him last year. We know that if we use him right, he can be effective. Calvin Austin had a solid year last year. DK Metcalf, like Rell said, I even agreed on Rell with this. By himself, he has not looked like a great number 1 receiver. We're going to see. Now he has Aaron Rodgers. We were saying that he had Geno Smith for crying out loud. So let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He did have Geno. Now you got Aaron. Let's see if it works. Okay. Then Roman Wilson. That's who I'm worried about. The Steelers are good at drafting receivers. Okay, we saw Chase Claypool his first 2 years. First 2 years as a Steeler, we saw how good he was. George Pickens, you saw how good he was with Pittsburgh. Wait, whoa, Jerrick, don't make that face. Chase Claypool, his first 2 years in Pittsburgh, don't act like he wasn't nice.
I'll say first year. That second year, it was bad. That second year, no, not really. First year.
Deontay Johnson was good his first couple years in Pittsburgh. Okay, we drafted guys like, not saying Romo will be Antonio, but we drafted Antonio. We drafted Martavis Bryant. We drafted a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, who was nice at first, then of course kind of fell off, went on, right? But can Roman Wilson keep the trend going? We've drafted pretty good receivers, right? Calvin Austin, we also drafted him. All right, so if he can be a good receiver 3, then Aaron has 3 solid options. Mind you, we have Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith, 2 top 12 tight ends in the league. Y'all can't disagree with that. I think they're both top 12 tight ends in the league. So he has 2 top 12 tight ends, a good O-line, good backfield, solid receivers. Solid. I'm not going to say great receiver room, solid. The defense, we already know what it is. I ain't got to really explain nothing with the defense. All right, the defense is great. So we're going to see what happens, but I do think they'll be second in the division, all right? But going on to first.
To put respect, because y'all did throw a little jab to DK Metcalf. The last time DK Metcalf had a quarterback that we really considered to be respectable was in 2020 when he had Russell Wilson. Back in 2020, DK Metcalf was 7th in receiving yards in the league, doing it by himself, basically.
How many yards did he have, Jerrick? And
no, he was 1,303.
No, he was not doing it by himself. He had Tyler Lockett. And do you think 1,300 yards is like crazy? Is it 1,300 yards crazy?
He was 7th. The top man had 1,500. The top man had 1,500.
I think top five. That's crazy. So DK Metcalf had a solid year. He always has solid years. He's always a 1,000-yard receiver. I never bash.
Seventh in receiving. That's different than just having a solid year.
He's a solid receiver. He's solid.
Look here. With Aaron Rodgers, he's gonna have a good season. Stamp that. Watch.
I believe he will have a good season, and also is going to, if, like I said, Roman Wilson does not come through and be a guy that we can rely on, right? Then that's just more targets for DK, which means DK is going to have a good year by default, whether we're good or not. I think we're gonna be good. I think it's guaranteed we're gonna be good. But let's say we're bad. Let's say the public is right and we have our first under 500 season. DK will still have his yards because he's really the only one that's competing for targets on this offense. All right. But number 1 in the division, who do you have winning the AFC North this year? Rell, let us know who and why.
Yes, sir. So we all got the Ravens. The reason I picked the Ravens is because regardless if they didn't make any offseason moves, I was going to pick them because they have the MVP. They got the best player in the NFL, Lamar Jackson. They got the best defense in the NFL. They got the best offense. They got one of the best coaches. And then on top of that, all their offseason signings, they went and got DeAndre Hopkins. They went and got Chidobe Awuzie. I know he's not a big name, but that's a good slot corner to come get. I don't even got to speak on him, but they went and got Jair Alexander. Yes, sir. When they re-signed Rashad Bateman, one of their solid number 3 receivers, then you go to the draft. They got Malachi Starks, who we all know is probably going to be the defensive player of the year this year. You know what I'm saying? Then they got Mike Green. A lot of people don't even know him from Marshall. He's an absolute animal. Had almost 20 sacks last year at Marshall. He had off the field issues. So the Ravens got two top 5 picks, 2 top 5 talent picks in the draft. The Ravens are just going to be dangerous again, man. And Lamar Jackson, I think he's going to be out for revenge after the way last year went. I think he's training harder than ever. And the sky's the limit for the Ravens. I think it's now or never, because if they don't get it this year, if they don't just dominate this year, they're going to have to blow it up because Derrick Henry's getting old. Hardball, it's over for him. Yeah.
All right. So we all got the Ravens at number 1. Jerrick, tell us why.
It's just like you said, they had a great offseason. I can't lie. It's the Baltimore Ravens. We know every year they're going to have a good regular season. Not only that, the reason why I have them winning the division, being regular season champs, is because of Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is probably the best regular season quarterback in the league. Definitely top 3. When it comes to, you look at his regular season performances, he puts up video game like numbers. Like, you see all these crazy moments, all these crazy highlights, crazy games from him in the regular season. And then, of course, they still have Derrick Henry. Like you said, they have a lot of guys. Their defense, I'm not going to say they have the best defense in the league, but they will have a top 3 to top 5 defense this year. So I do think that when it comes down to the regular season, we're going to see Lamar Jackson have another MVP-like season. He's going to put up crazy stats. And that'll be enough for them to go ahead and win the division. So I do think that they will win the AFC North. That is my prediction for this year.
Yeah, we all agree on this. I think that this is a great regular season team, as they are every single year, right? Lamar Jackson is a great, probably the best. You're right, Rell. He's probably the best player in the league in the regular season. I would say he is the most electrifying. He is Houdini, ain't that what they call him, right? That's what he does in the regular season. So I'm basically not guaranteeing. I have a strong chance that they're gonna win the AFC North. Defense, like y'all said, from top to bottom is solid. Right, the offense, yes, they don't. To me, they don't have a receiver that stand out. Yes, they got Zay Flowers, DeAndre Hopkins, and Rashad Bateman. It's solid, especially for what they want to do, because this team should want to run the ball. Right, you got Derrick Henry, who was knocking on 2,000 rushing yards last year. He's only getting better as he get older. Like, we haven't seen no regression from Derrick Henry. So assuming he's still at peak health, assuming he can still stay on the field, they're gonna have a run game. Then you got Lamar Jackson's legs. Then you have a great tight end duo in Isaiah Likely, and then Mark Andrews. So to me, this team should win the division for sure. This is about divisions. We're not talking about the playoffs, talking about divisions. So they should definitely win the division this year. All right. So now we talked about the AFC North. Let's move over to the NFC North. This is featuring the Packers, the Bears, and Lions, and the Vikings. All right, Rell, at 4th place in the NFC North, who you got?
Yes, sir. This was a no-brainer for me. I got the Minnesota Vikings at 4th place. Yeah, they got the best receiver in the league. I think they got one of the best head coaches in the league. They got probably the best receiving core in the league with TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison. But, man, this division is just a really, really good division. Like, this is probably the best division in football right now. And I just don't think J.J. McCarthy has the tools to be able to keep up with Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and Jared Goff. I just don't see it happening. And Justin Jefferson's gonna have another great year, and the Vikings will be solid. They'll be close to like 10-7, 11-6, but they'll just be the 4th team in the division.
All right, Jerry, your 4th place. Who you got?
I have the exact same 4th place. I have the Minnesota Vikings. I really do think that the difference in this division is going to be quarterback play. This division will be close. It'll be a tight one. But unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy, he just won't be able to get the job done. I'm not going to say he's going to have a terrible season, but I think that especially in those division games, it's going to come down to some plays where it's going to be a head scratcher, and he's going to make some mistakes. Not only is it because of his talent, but he's a rookie this year. He played no games last year. He was injured, couldn't even play, and they also had Sam Darnold, who did have a pretty good regular season last year. So I do think that him technically coming to his rookie year, he's going to struggle. He's going to go through growing pains, and it's just going to suck because they do have a talented roster that if they did have good quarterback play, they would be able to make some noise and cause some problems. So I do have the Minnesota Vikings in fourth place.
All right, I think we're all going to agree on this one. Minnesota being at fourth place. This is not actually. I'm gonna save my bold predictions. I'm gonna save this for that. But I think that last year people are getting fooled with the how Kevin O'Connell kind of turned Sam Darnold into a respectable player in the NFL, and they think that he's just gonna do the same with JJ McCarthy. All right, and I don't think that. I think Kevin O'Connell's good. But good gracious, y'all asking him to just turn anybody into a really good quarterback, and that's just not gonna happen. Now you have Justin Jefferson, which to me, Justin Jefferson, I said Jamar Chase should be the best, but Justin has a great argument, dude. His quarterbacks has been Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold. And he puts up these crazy numbers every single year. So, like, people in the fantasy world, they're saying still draft Justin Jefferson. I don't care who the quarterback is. They don't care if JJ McCarthy is the QB. They're still saying go get Justin Jefferson because Kevin O'Connell will make sure that he gets the ball to them. And I think one bright spot about this team is their defense, led by Brian Flores. Last year, QBs were saying they were seeing ghosts when they went against the Minnesota Vikings defense, right? All the blitzes he throw at you, all the different coverages he throw at you. But as Rell said, this is a great division. To me, this is the best division in all of football. Like I think the AFC North has been replaced with the NFC North. I think this is the best division, and this is not saying the Vikings will have a terrible season, but I think 500, around 500 is where they'll be. I can't tell you everything I want to tell you because it's a part of my bold prediction. All right, so I'm just leave it at that. So third place in the NFC North, Tyrell, who you got?
Yes, sir. So I got the Green Bay Packers finishing third in that division. I'm just going off thinking long term. The Green Bay Packers, they lost their best player on defense in Jair Alexander. Their second best player on defense, Rashawn Gary, is usually hurt a lot of times. Then you move over to the offensive side of the ball. Jordan Love, he tends to get banged up and miss a couple of games, but that's not to say that I think the Packers will still have a really good season. I think they'll still be 11-6. I just think they'll be third in the division. They still got Jordan Love. Their first round pick, they went and got Matthew Golden from Texas. I think he's going to be the first good Texas receiver drafted. So this Packers offense is actually loaded now. They still got Josh Jacobs, still got a really good offensive line, still got that solid defense. So I think this Green Bay Packers team will still be good. They'll just be third place.
All right, Jerrick, who you got third place?
Once again, I have the exact same third place team. And mine is more so of also kind of at the quarterback position. I have a lot of question marks around Jordan Love. I mean, I really do. Like we saw him last season, we thought he was going to have a spectacular season. We thought Jordan Love was going to come out here, and we thought that they might have been like in contention to win the division because of Jordan Love. We had so many like the big upside on him. I remember people were saying he might be in the MVP conversation. So I didn't see it. Honestly, didn't see it last year, and I really have big question marks around him. Can he be that guy for this team? And then, like Rell said, they did go get Matthew Golden, but outside of him, that receiving core, it's nobody that puts fear in me whenever I'm a defense going against them. They have solid guys all around, but it's just nobody that makes me say, okay, we really have to key on this guy. So it is going to depend on Matthew Golden and how good he can be, see if he can really be that true number one wide receiver. But Jordan Love, I have big question marks around him, and I don't think that he will have a better year than Caleb Williams or Jared Goff. So I do have the Packers finishing in third.
Yep. We're going 2 for 2 right here. Well, 3 for 3 right here with the Packers being third. And this is not a knock against the Packers. I like the Packers. I like Jordan Love, right? I think last year, a combination of receiver drops, a combination of injuries, and then sometimes Jordan Love just didn't put out the best product last year. I think that led to it being a bumpy road, right? They still got to the playoffs, though. That's the crazy part. Like, even though Jordan Love had a pretty mid-season, they still got to the playoffs. So I think this year, it's just a matter of who's the next two teams in the division. This is no knock on the Green Bay Packers, right? I think one thing about the Packers that I wish, and we're going to see this year, but I feel like Jordan Love has a bunch of number 2s and number 3 receivers, right? If Jordan Love is good enough, then he can make it work. But he doesn't have a guy. Like, they don't have a dude. Jaden Reed is like a Deebo Samuel, right? He gonna play everywhere. He can do a lot with the ball in his hands after the catch. You got Christian Watson, who stays hurt. So he really doesn't have that much effect on the field. When he is on the field, he's a deep ball threat. You got Romeo Dobbs, who I think is the best receiver in the room, a great route runner, right? And then you just got Matthew Golden, right? So to me, it's a bunch of 2s and 3s. Matthew Golden might end up being a really, really, really good receiver. So we're gonna see. But they have a bunch of 2 and 3s. But I'm expecting a bounce back year for Jordan Love. And then Josh Jacobs, who flew under the radar last year. He was like I want to say he was top 5, top 6 in rushing yards last year. Nobody talked about him because all we talked about was Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. But Josh Jacobs is still good. The defense, a little questionable right now without Jair Alexander. We're gonna see how it works. But I think they're going to be fine. It's just they're going to be third place in a really good division. All right. So second place, I feel like we're going to lose each other on this one. All right. Second place in the NFC North. Rell, who you got?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go with the Bears in second place in the NFC North. The reason being is I think Caleb Williams is about to make a huge leap, and I think Ben Johnson is going to be a huge part of that. And I think whenever it comes to quarterbacks in this league, we always expect them to grow fast and to be there year one. But I think Caleb Williams is a slow developer, and as he gets into year two, he's just going to light it up. And he has a perfect coach to do that. And whenever his coach came in, he made the perfect moves for his rookie quarterback. He went and got Joe Thuney from the Chiefs, great pickup. They went and got Jonah Jackson, and then they went and got Grady Jarrett, who we all know is a great pickup. Go ahead, add that to that defense. That defense is going to be scary this year. Then they went and got in the draft. They went and got Luther Burden from Missouri. That was a crazy pickup, like a great pickup for a receiving core that already has Rome Odunze and Cole Kmet and DJ Moore. So that offense is just going to be crazy. And then with their first round pick this year, they drafted with their 10th overall pick, they drafted Colston Loveland. That was like a amazing pick. It gives Ben Johnson the ability to go 12 men whenever he wants to, go 22 man. It gives him a whole bunch of different personnel. So I just think this Bears team is going to be scary. I think they're going to be like 13-3. This division is going to be how it was last year. It's going to be crazy.
All right, real quick before Jared go, Rell, you think the Bears will make the playoffs this year for sure? Like, would you lock them in?
For surely lock him in. He's going to have the Patrick Mahomes jump.
Okay. Patrick Mahomes jump. That's okay. All right, Jerrick, who you got at second place in the NFC?
We have the exact same division rankings. We really do division predictions. I have the Chicago Bears at second. I do. Like he said, I think Caleb Williams. Because I feel like a lot of people kind of jumped off the Caleb Williams train as of right now. Coming into the league, once he got drafted, there was so much hype around him. Everybody literally, the Patrick Mahomes comparisons, calling him a generational talent. He gets in the league, struggles a little bit. The whole team was struggling last year. Head coach got fired mid-season for what he did Thanksgiving Day against the Lions. Like, it was bad. Like you say, went and got Ben Johnson, had a great offseason, a lot of great signings, great pickups defensively and offensively. It really makes this team makes them a lot scarier than they were last year. I think we're going to see a completely different team than we saw last year. And I do expect Caleb Williams to have a pretty good season. But, I mean, I think it'll come down to a couple games, and I think that they're just going to fall short to second place in the division. But like Rell said, I do think that they're going to make the playoffs. I think they'll go to the playoffs this year, and the division will be very close. The race between them and the Lions will be very, very close. So I have the Chicago Bears finishing second.
All right, well, this is where we lost each other right here. I'm going to the Lions at second, guys. I think I'm looking at a regression year for Jared Goff, and this is not hating against Jared Goff. I think we all agree that Jared Goff is in the perfect situation. It's not like when you say Jared Goff is top 10, we're not saying top 10 because of his ability to put the ball in places. We're not saying because of his skill. We're saying because of his stats, right? That's why he's a top 10 player, not top 10 quarterback. And it's because of his receivers, his running backs, his O-line, and his offensive coordinator, right? They lost the offensive coordinator, and in the offensive line, they lost a 4-time Pro Bowler in Frank Ragnow, the center, and they lost their right guard, Kevin, I believe it's I have it right here, Kevin Zettler, right? They lost him to the Titans. So they lost 2 of their starting O-linemen, right? So the O-line regressed. Jared Goff is not a guy that can we don't see off-platform throws. We don't see him get out the pocket and make great plays. Jared Goff goes by the play, and Ben Johnson drew up the plays. And also, there was time for him to go through the play because they had a good O-line. So the O-line gets a little worse. They lost the OC. Now I have question marks for Jared Goff, right? Can you still produce without a really good play caller? Because they said the next play caller was in the room with Ben Johnson. It was in the organization last year. But that's still you can have the same playbook, but it depends on who's calling the play. That's what matters. Every play looks good in the NFL. It's a matter of situation. It's a matter of what the defense is lined up in. It's a matter of when you use the play. Right? I've never seen a play that's just bad, like that's badly drawn. It just depends on what it's going against. So I don't care who's calling the plays. It's not Ben Johnson. So therefore, we got to see. I think Dan Campbell's in a tough spot, bro. You got to make it work because you're in a situation where, what's my boy name from Philly? Nick Sirianni was in last year when they lost both their coordinators. Right, you saw what happened to the Eagles last year. They lost in the first round of playoffs because they lost both their coordinators. Things just wasn't the same. Well, you done lost two really good coordinators, Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Right, we gonna see if you're a good head coach like they say you are, or were you carried by your coordinators. We're going to see. And before I move on to the first place, the year before last, they lost to who? The 49ers in the NFC Championship, right? Who lost that game for them? Dan Campbell. Okay. Questionable decisions. Kept going for it on fourth down instead of taking the field goals, whatever. Then last year, lost in the second round to the Commanders. Whose fault was that? Well, the defense played bad, but whose main fault was that? Jared Goff. So we got a head coach that I'm not that confident in, and a quarterback that I'm not that confident in, and you lost two really good coordinators. We're going to see what happens, but I got them going second in this division. So that leaves y'all with the Lions. Tell us why the Lions will be first. Rell, you first.
Yes, sir. You think they got worse, but I think they got better, and I think they got a whole lot better. With DJ Reed, we all know him as a respectable corner in this league, solid corner, hard-nosed corner. They just signed him to a really good deal. Carlton Davis, that was a huge upgrade from Carlton Davis. Aiden Hutchinson, who we all know should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year if he didn't get hurt. He's coming back. He's already dominating one-on-one drills. So if Aiden Hutchinson finishes out the season, I think they have a guaranteed chance of being in that Super Bowl. I think that Jaden Daniels doesn't even have that game he has in the divisional round if Aiden Hutchinson is there. So let me just say that right now. Then moving on to the draft, they addressed defense early. They went and got a defensive tackle. They saw how bad that game against the Commanders was. They ran the ball through them all game. That was terrible. So what does Dan Campbell do? He says, hey, we got to address this D-line. We got to address this run game. I don't never want to get ran on again. So he says, let me go get a stout guy from Ohio State there. That was a great pickup. We know they're bringing Armand St. Brown back. We know they're bringing Jahmyr Gibbs back. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to make this leap. I think David Montgomery is going to make another leap. Like this is the best running back duo we ever seen. I think Jameson Williams is about to have a huge year. So this Lions team, I don't think is going to have any drop off. I think they're going to be the number one team in the NFC. The team that you need to be worried about having a drop off is the Eagles. But I'm going to just save that for later.
Whoa.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Wow. All right, Jerrick, go ahead. You got the Lions first, of course, but tell us why.
I think, like Rell said, my main point is Aiden Hutchinson. That's really my main point. When you look around the division, none of these teams have a guy that whenever it's third down and they need a stop, hey, that's who we're looking towards. Like with the Pittsburgh Steelers, every third down when it's a close game, we're automatically thinking, okay, TJ Watt can make a play and get us out of the situation. That's what Aiden Hutchinson is for them. That's what they didn't have in that playoff game last year. They didn't have Aiden Hutchinson. And like you said, not only would that have helped with the rush, but also in the run game. Like they were able to just run all over them anywhere. Aiden Hutchinson, he really locks down that side of the line that he's on. So bringing him back, if he is fully healthy and can really just doesn't take a little step back from last year, like Rell said, defensive player if he doesn't get hurt. So I think that bringing Aiden Hutchinson back, that's going to be a big, big help for the defense, not only for the defensive line, but the secondary as well. Like we saw that the secondary was getting picked apart a little bit last year. Well, having Aiden Hutchinson now, your pass rush is better. Whenever your pass rush is good, your secondary is good because your secondary doesn't have to guard receivers for as long. We know that if you don't have good people in the secondary, you build up that defensive line. That's the quickest way to help out your secondary is through the defensive line. So that will also just going to help the defense overall. Then, like Rell said, they didn't lose a single weapon on offense. Like they really didn't. They have Jahmyr Gibbs. They have David Montgomery. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They have Jameson Williams. Like Rell said, I think Jameson Williams is going to have a big year this year. Honestly do. Like this is a guy who last year, those last weeks of the year in fantasy, big time games from him. He was on my team. Big time games from him. I think he's going to show all 17 games this year that he's really a nice number 2, and people are going to put more respect on his name. And then you have Sam Laporta. Like, this offense is still the same, and Jared Goff, I don't think he's going to have a drop-off, especially in the regular season, just because he has the same guys. Yes, play calling is going to be a big factor in this, but he still has the same playmakers to get the ball to, still has the same playmakers to hand the ball to in the backfield. I don't see why this team, especially in the regular season, will fall off the way you think they're going to. Like, you still think they're going to be good. You still think they're going to be better than the Chicago Bears, of course. I have this team winning the division again. I don't know, as far as Rell said, as being the best team in the NFC and having that number 1 spot like they did last year, but I do have them win the NFC North.
All right. Well, to wrap this up, clearly I'm the odd man now. I got the Bears winning this division, and it's a crazy leap that I'm expecting for Caleb Williams. But I think Rell really hit all the notes whenever he said for second place. We talk about the Bears. He talked about all the additions that they made. He talked about the offensive line additions they made, right? The D-line additions they made. But I'm gonna go with coaching here, and coaching matters. I don't care what the public thinks, but coaching really matters. And Ben Johnson has already set a tone in training camp and in OTAs. All right, we've heard stories already. This is a beat writer for Detroit. He said that with Ben Johnson, because he knew him, I guess, more personally. He said, "Look, in general, his practices, he's pissed off, right? He's pissed off. He's a perfectionist. He's very detail oriented. All right. We've already heard the other day, Luther Burden, who you talked about, right? Receiver they added in the draft, got kicked off the field because he messed up a play. Got kicked off. Get off the field because you messed up." And when DJ Moore was asked about it, DJ Moore said, "I wasn't really around for it. But hey, in the playbook, if it says to break off, 2 yards from the hash or whatever, and you're at 1 yard, you're wrong. Period." Ben Johnson has instilled that mindset that we're going to run every play to perfection. And I love it. I love it for Caleb Williams, right? Jared Goff, to me, was put in a great situation with Ben Johnson. I think Caleb Williams has more raw talent than Jared Goff. Caleb Williams has good weapons. We talked about Colston Loveland, who they drafted over what's your boy name for Penn State, Jared? Tight end.
Tyler Warren.
Oh, they drafted him over Tyler Warren. I was kind of shocked by that, but you got Colston Loveland, right? You still got Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Rome Dunze, who I think is going to make a huge leap this year. You add Luther Burden, right? So to me, you have weapons to get the ball to. And Ben Johnson last year, we saw plays where Penei Sewell was running routes. Guys, like we saw like crazy plays in the Ben Johnson playbook. We're going to see that with Chicago. He's going to put Caleb Williams in the best positions possible. And that's the best thing you can do. Patrick Mahomes was one of the most talented quarterbacks ever, right? He has a coach that's going to make it easy for him. Like Mahomes' talent is only used whenever they go off script, when you got to escape the pocket, when they got to go off platform. But you seen in the Super Bowl 2 years ago against the 49ers, 2 of those touchdown passes was wide open because of play design, because of Andy Reid drew up things. I think Ben Johnson, I'm not saying he's Andy Reid, but he will make things easier for Caleb Williams, who we know has raw talent like a Mahomes. He just has it, right? So I think I'm expecting a big leap from Caleb Williams this year. And I think this Bears team is going to be really good. And I think they're going to shock the world, and they're going to win this division. All right. So that was our AFC North and our NFC North predictions. Let's move on to our players under the most pressure. All right. Player under the most pressure. We're going to start off with Jerrick here. Jerrick, let us know, who is your player under the most pressure?
I'm gonna go ahead and say this probably might shock y'all. This is like an under the radar type of answer. I have Andy Richardson. I think that he's been very disappointed up to this point. He really has. And for the pick that he was the second pick in the draft, fourth pick. He's with the fourth pick in the draft. Like, I did not expect him to go that high at all. I really didn't. Like, whenever you look at his college tape, it was just the electrifying plays. But I didn't really see the plays that you see out of an NFL quarterback. Whenever we look at college tape for an NFL guy, we're looking to see him read through the defense, go through his progressions, be able to make every pass on the field. What Anthony Richardson really was, he was just a highlight reel. Like, he's making electrifying plays on the field at Florida, and then he went and had a combine. He's out here just showing off his arm talent. I mean, I'm talking like they had to move his throwing at his pro day outside because he hit the ceiling whenever he was trying to throw a 50-yard go ball. Like, you saw all of that draft hype, and then the Colts go ahead, they pull the trigger and draft him very, very early. And since then, it's been a bunch of disappointment. It really has. Like, it's either he throws a 50-yard touchdown or he throws an interception on an 8-yard hitch route. Like we're not seeing consistent play for him at all. He has been hurt a lot as well because he wants to use his physical gifts instead of sitting in the pocket and throwing the ball. So, I mean, they signed Daniel Jones this offseason. Danny Dimes, yes, they signed Daniel Jones this offseason, and Daniel Jones has been getting all the reps so far because Anthony Richardson has been hurt. So Daniel Jones getting all the reps. I heard he's looking pretty good. This team doesn't really have big expectations coming into this year. Anthony Richardson, if you're struggling, we're going to see them go to Daniel Jones. And I think when they go to Daniel Jones, you might be done. Your time in Indianapolis might be over. So if you're not successful this season, and I'm not saying you have to have a great, spectacular year, be a top 15 in passing yards, but we need to see more so what we saw on the back end of Bryce Young's season last year. Bryce Young struggled very early, got benched. And even when you look at his season, you think, oh, well, his stats aren't that great, Bryce Young's. But when you really sit down and watch those last 5 to 6 games, you saw the improvements. You saw him making good plays. You saw the Alabama Bryce Young. So if we don't see that Florida Anthony Richardson at least a little bit this year, you're done. And your time in Indianapolis is over. And that'll be Daniel Jones' team. So I have Anthony Richardson as the player under the most pressure.
Okay, that was deep, but I like it. I agree. All right, Rell, what player is under the most pressure this year?
Yes, sir. I got the unpopular opinion here, and I got the one nobody's even thinking about. But I'm going with C.J. Stroud down there in Houston. And the reason I say that is because this year 3 for him. Last year, he took a step back, obviously. And I feel like his first year, everybody was ready to put him in the top 5. I was ready to put him in top 5, too. And now everybody's just mum on him like, C.J. Stroud has to have a big year, and the Texans have to go deep into the playoffs. They can't just have a repeat of last year because his coach, DeMarco Ryans, he did everything he could to put the best team around his rookie quarterback, his young quarterback. Went and signed Nick Chubb, went and got Mario Edwards, Cam Robinson, addressed the O-line, obviously. And then they went and traded for Christian Kirk and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who that defense is on another level right now. Like,
Yes, 100%.
the Texans should have one of the best defenses in the league, 100%. And then the Texans winning, like I said, they signed Nick Chubb. They went and got Jaden Higgins in the first round. They addressed their O-line in the draft. Like, they put all the weapons, they put all the pieces around C.J. Stroud. Now he's under the most pressure to get this team to the next level. Like, the Texans don't just want to make the playoffs and get to the second round. They're over that now. They're trying to go Super Bowl before they sign C.J. Stroud.
Facts. And I like y'all picks. And I think we're all in the same area here. My pick. Now, let's just say the obvious answers to this question probably would have been Lamar Jackson, right? But I think that's for obvious reasons. But we're all in the same area, y'all, because I got Trevor Lawrence. Okay. I think Trevor Lawrence is under a lot of pressure this year, right? This is a guy that I thought coming to the NFL was going to be the next Peyton Manning, right? The next Drew Brees in that like room. I thought he was going to be that guy. He has not lived up to it yet. I don't care what nobody says. Talk about injuries, talk about this, that. He has not lived up to it yet. It looked good for a little bit the year they went to the playoffs. Remember they came back from the Chargers being down 27-0. It looked good for a little bit. Then against the Chiefs in the next round, it wasn't even that bad. They competed, right? But then they fell back off. And Doug Peterson got fired, and I'm here to tell y'all it was not because of Doug Peterson. It was because your quarterback did not look good that last year, and you can't do anything with him because you just paid him. You just got him that extension, right? So you got to blame somebody. And unfortunately, Doug Peterson was a scapegoat. I think Doug Peterson is a great coach. So to me, now, Trevor Lawrence, there's nobody else to blame. It's going to be you this year. They went and got the best player in the draft this year in Travis Hunter. They traded up. They traded future assets because they wanted Travis Hunter. They wanted a guy that you can get the ball to pair alongside with Brian Thomas Jr., who was top 5 in yards last year, right? You got to, I'm not even saying get wins this year. You got to just put up good stats, put up good numbers, put up points. Show us that we can score with you at quarterback. Show us that we can move the ball with you at quarterback. This is the audition year for Trevor Lawrence. Because if it don't work out this year, look, I got a 22-year-old in Brian Thomas Jr. and a 21-year-old in Travis Hunter that I'm ready to move on with. I need a QB that can consistently get them the ball and can put up numbers with these two at receiver. Because they can be, by next year, I say 1 to 2 years, the best receiver duo in the league. And I don't think it won't be. I don't think it'll be close. Honestly, like I think that's how much talent they have at the receiver position. Yes, I said it. I think they'll be better than T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I really do. Brian Thomas already showed you last year. He's already a top 10 receiver. Travis Hunter, if he does what we think he'll be, like if he is what we think he'll be, then he's going to be a top 10 receiver in the league one day. Right. So I think that it's going to be a great receiver duo, and he has to put up numbers this year. Not wins, but numbers. All right. Next, we got coach. All right. So moving on to the head coaches. We know coaches matter in this league. All right. So, Rell, let us know what coach is under the most pressure in 2025.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go up to Buffalo. I'm gonna say Doug McDermott because even though a lot of people say they don't have the team that they should have around them, Doug McDermott, he's been at this for about 10 years. I don't know if you guys know, but Doug McDermott has been up there since Nathan Peterman was the quarterback in Buffalo. He's been there.
Sean McDermott. That's who.
Sean McDermott. He's been there since Tyrod Taylor was there. You know, like he's been there for a while. So the Buffalo Bills are the furthest they've won is the AFC Championship. I think they gotta hit that next leap because obviously they're not trading Josh Allen. Obviously they're not getting rid of Josh Allen. Doug McDermott, you're the next guy out. So Doug McDermott is definitely under the most pressure.
That's a good one. Jerrick, who you got? What coach is under the most pressure?
Dan Campbell. I'm just gonna say it like that. And I feel like this is somebody that we said was under pressure last year because of the just terrible coaching performance we saw in the NFC Championship against the 49ers because he lost in that game. So coming to last season, he was under a lot of pressure because of the roster that he has and the talent that he has. Well, now you're under pressure because you don't have your coordinators anymore. You don't have a lot of your coaching staff. Like 50%, 75% of the coaching staff is gone. Like they have different jobs. Your defensive coordinator, he's down in New York. He's the head coach now. Ben Johnson, we all know, went across the street to the rivalry in Chicago. Like you're under a lot of pressure, and you don't want this to be a Nick Sirianni situation. Nick Sirianni, they went to the Super Bowl, lost both his coordinators, and the very next season, everything went downhill. We saw a bad play out of his team. The defense stopped producing. It was bad, and they had an embarrassing first-round loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the wild card. And everybody was screaming, Nick Sirianni, it's time for him to go. Put him on the hot seat real fast. I'm talking about people who said he needed to be fired, Philly fans, NFL analysts. Everybody was really pointing the blame at him because you lost your two coordinators and everything went downhill from there. Well, Dan Campbell, you just lost your two coordinators, and if everything goes downhill from there, they're going to blame you because they see that the talent is still there. I feel like two people will get blamed. It'll be Jared Goff and it'll be Dan Campbell. And if it's not Jared Goff's fault, it's going to be Dan Campbell. Like if Jared Goff plays good and they don't get at least to the NFC Championship, especially if they don't win their division, Dan Campbell, everybody's going to look at you. And it will turn into a Nick Sirianni situation that really you were just hiding behind two great coordinators and you're not that good of a coach. You're just a microphone guy. You're just a guy that can get in the locker room and give those pep talks that are needed. So I definitely do think that the head coach under the most pressure is Dan Campbell.
All right, I like it. I think we are killing this segment because I'm going with John Harbaugh. Okay, I'm as a Steelers fan, I am sick and tired of the stress people put on Mike Tomlin, for all of the hate people put on Mike Tomlin for his postseason non-success, if you would put it that way. John Harbaugh is doing the same thing with a better team. He's getting to the AFC Championship, to the divisional round, and not getting the job done. This is a Ravens team that every year consistently is put in the Super Bowl picture, and they haven't even got to the game yet, right? You know, going into last year, Mike Tomlin's last two losses in the playoffs were against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Did you know the last two losses for the Ravens has been against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? Did you know Mike Tomlin gets more hate for that, for losing to two of them quarterbacks when we had no chance to compete with those teams? We had no chance. We lose, and they're saying Mike Tomlin not getting the job done. But John Harbaugh, who has the MVP, Rell know best, the MVP, right? Rell said the best player in the league. You got him, and you lose to Mahomes and Josh Allen, and John Harbaugh is not getting no hate. Nobody's talking about John Harbaugh. Nobody's saying he's on the hot seat, but we're consistently saying Mike Tomlin's on the hot seat. John Harbaugh has a better team, period. Has a better quarterback. Top 5 quarterback in the league. Can't get the job done. So if they don't get to the Super Bowl this year, there needs to be talks about John Harbaugh. or we're gonna have another comfortable conversation of Lamar Jackson. It's one, pick your poison, whichever one you want. But John Harbaugh needs to get some criticism if they don't get to the big game this year. Period. Because he hasn't done it yet with Lamar Jackson, who I'm gonna say it again. Rell said the best player in the league. He can't get it done with them. That's a problem. All right, so John Harbaugh gets no hate, and I think it's about time that he starts getting criticized for not getting the job done in the postseason. All right, let's move on to our next segment, which is my bad, that's on me. Which is team under the most pressure. All right, team under the most pressure. So, Rell, let us know what team is under the most pressure this year.
Yes, sir. I'm doubling back to what you just said. The Ravens are obviously under the most pressure, and it's not to just have a great regular season. I'm sure they wish they could just send them to the playoffs if they wanted to, but the Ravens, they made the most offseason moves that they could, the most offseason moves in the NFL, and like they're obviously under the most pressure. They've been in the same cycle for I feel like what's been 3 years now of just like you said, losing to Mahomes, losing to Josh Allen, and they just can't do that anymore. And it's not just on Lamar Jackson because the defense could play better. Justin Tucker could play better. Like the coaching could be better. They could be better everywhere. So Baltimore Ravens, they're definitely under the most pressure, 100%.
I like that pick. Jerrick, what team is under the most pressure this year?
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Real did kind of take my pick, but that is fine. I'm gonna go with a team of similar status in the AFC. I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills. Just like Lamar Jackson, I think this season might wrap up the whole Josh Allen will get him a ring before it's all said and done. I really do think so. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. These are guys that since 2020, 2021, they go out there and they have great seasons. They put up spectacular highlight reels, spectacular moments. And then you look around, they have no Super Bowl appearances. They haven't gotten there. And I mean, all more credit to Patrick Mahomes because he's preventing these guys from getting to where people think they should be. But if they can't get there this year, I do think that we might start closing that chapter on supporting Josh Allen and thinking he'll get the job done. Now, I will say this. It's not all his fault. Unlike Lamar, kind of, Josh Allen does perform in the playoffs. He does show up. We have to admit that. He does show up, and like against Mahomes, he goes toe-to-toe with Mahomes every single time. Like he really does try his best, but he's had defensive issues. His defense hasn't been that good. And I feel like, Sean McDermott tried to address that a little bit. They wouldn't sign Joey Bosa. He doesn't really be on the field. Let's be honest. He's a guy, like we say, the best ability is availability. He's not available half the season, but maybe he can stay healthy. They have a guy in Joey Bosa they picked up. They went out and drafted a corner from Kentucky, who, if you turn on his tape, he looks pretty good. And we know that their secondary has been a problem, especially this past season. So they try to address a couple defensive needs. We know they still have young players on defense. And then the receiver room is still a little shaky. But they have Josh Allen. I feel like they feel like the offense wasn't the problem last year. It was the defense. So they try to add a little upgrades to the defense. But like Rell said, if Sean McDermott's going to be under the most pressure, Josh Allen, you're also under pressure. I mean, that whole team is under pressure because this is starting to come to that end of, does Josh Allen have a chance to at least make a Super Bowl? So I think the Buffalo Bills are under a lot of pressure.
All right. I'm going to go with my squad. I'm going with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's under pressure this year. And it's not the same kind of pressure that y'all are talking about. Y'all talking about Super Bowl pressure. I'm talking about a playoff win kind of pressure. A playoff win has to be had this year with Pittsburgh. Or we're going to go through another offseason. Mike Tomlin needs to go. Right? Aaron Rodgers is washed. It's going to be a bad – Omar Khan made bad moves this offseason. It's going to be a bad – we made the most noise this offseason, I think, out of any team. Right? Traded Minka for Ramsey and Jonnu Smith. Right? We didn't got Aaron Rodgers. Right, we just gave T.J. Watt this big deal. Right, we made crazy moves this offseason. Got DK Metcalf. Got rid of George Pickens. Teams that are active like that, there has to be some kind of success. We didn't make all these moves to go to the playoffs and lose the first round. There's no way. Like if we do, it's a bad look on the organization. So y'all's most teams under most pressure was for Super Bowl reasons, which makes a lot of sense. Mine is just win a playoff game. We have the most pressure this year to win a playoff game, in my opinion, because it hasn't been done in so long. And for some reason, I try to break down every single game that has happened. People don't care. They don't want to hear that. A loss is a loss. They don't care. So the Steelers, bro, we are under the most pressure this year. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. We have a top 5 coach in the league, in my opinion. We have a future Hall of Famer at quarterback, right? We have a really great defense. Like we should have the best defense in the league this year. We have TJ Watt, who has not had a playoff win. Let's keep it a buck, right? Like there's pressure on this NFL on this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and it's not the same pressure that y'all pointed out, but there is pressure on Pittsburgh. All right. Now we're gonna end this episode with our bold prediction. Okay, our bold prediction. This is going to be something that we did last year for NFL Bowl. It's going to be a big prediction that we make for the 2025 season. All right, Rell, you up first. What is your bold prediction for this upcoming year?
Yes, sir. My bold prediction for the upcoming year is Tyler's showroom and the New Orleans Saints are going to light up the NFC South and win the NFC South. And we all know the NFC South is not a very good division, but I think they're going to come on. I think they're going to come out. I think they're going to shock a lot of people. And, I mean, Tyler Show doesn't have a lot of talent to beat out in the NFC South. It's Michael Penix, you got Baker Mayfield, and you got Bryce Young. I think he could definitely go out there and be the best quarterback. And we've seen rookie quarterbacks go out there and sling it. And we got the perfect offense to go do that. We got the perfect offensive line to go do that. We got the perfect offensive coordinator to go do that. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara. Come on, we still got it.
Jerrick, you just told me the other day that Bo Nix is better than Baker Mayfield. So Baker Mayfield ain't that good in your eyes. Michael Penix is technically a rookie, right? Bryce Young still ain't
No.
Rell has a
I didn't
point.
say Baker Mayfield wasn't that good. Baker Mayfield was right outside of my top 10. But what are we talking about? So, Rell,
bold prediction.
No. There's bold predictions, and then there's just flat out blasphemy. Rell, so you think y'all are gonna win the division?
Yeah,
that's bold prediction. Then there's flat out blasphemy. That is blasphemy, dude. That is.
It's bold.
That's my bold prediction.
I love it, Rell. Stand ovation. I love it. Bold prediction. Now, how about you top that?
Okay. Here's my bold prediction. Okay, my bold prediction is that about week 8 or 9, Jalen Milroe will be the starting quarterback in Seattle. That is my bold prediction. Sam Darnold, he went from having one of the best offensive minds in the league and the best receiver in the league to a completely different situation. Jackson Smith-Njigba, I'm high on him. Cooper Kupp, he stays hurt. But I don't think Jackson Smith-Njigba is a guy that's going to just get him the ball and he's going to help you be successful. He's not that guy for Sam Darnold, at least. He's not. And I heard that the Seattle Seahawks are pretty high on Jalen Milroe. Like, they love what they're seeing out of him so far. So I think that by week 8, 9, 10, they're going to see that going to the playoffs is not in their future. They're not going to win the division. Sam Darnold's going to be playing like booty butt buns. And they're going to go ahead and pull the trigger and put Jalen Milroe in to see if they can just change the dynamic and see if he's that guy of the future. Because if he's not, then – because at some point they're going to have to realize they need to start their rebuild at some point. And they're going to have to see if Jalen Milroe is the guy for their rebuild to go under. Or do they need to go get a quarterback next year? Because if not, if you just play out Sam Darnold this year and he's terrible, and then you play out Jalen Milroe next year and he's terrible, that's 2 wasted seasons knowing that now you have to go get a quarterback when you can figure it out this season. And I think Sam Darnold's going to struggle. So I think that Jalen Milroe will be starting by week 8 and 10. Jalen Milroe will get the starting job.
Funny thing is, I thought they were doing a rebuild, but then they went and got Sam Darnold. Well, go ahead, bro.
I just want to say that is not a bold prediction. Like, everybody knows Sam Darnold sucks. Everybody knows.
Well, I don't think we are going to confident enough to say that Jalen Milroe will be starting this year, because not a lot of people are high on Jalen Milroe.
There are some people that think Jalen Milroe is going to be bad. Like,
you said Tyler Show will be the best quarterback in your division.
That's bold.
It's
called bold predictions.
No.
I didn't say that was a bad take.
Still have to be realistic. That's not realistic at all.
Okay, all right, bro.
Hey, man,
that is
crazy. You got it.
Look, Rell made the crazy bet, right? The bet that has one out of 100 chance of happening, right? Jerry, you made the 45 out of 100 kind of bet. Okay, I'm making the 100 out of 100 kind of bet right now. This is going to happen. This is my bold prediction. It's not about outcomes or Super Bowls or winning divisions, nothing like that. Next year, I will be a JJ McCarthy fan. That is my bold prediction. I will be able look, they call me the recycle man. Okay, I like to recycle. Okay, I don't like throwing things away. What happened, Jerrick? Was I a Jalen? Actually, both of y'all answer this question. Was I a big Jalen Hurts guy going when he came out of college going to the NFL? No, I was not. But what happened? People start saying he sucks. He's not good. He's not this. He's not that. And this was going into this was really the Super Bowl. No, the year after the Super Bowl. So when he was playing pretty bad, right? I think this is when Jerry was like, he don't care. He don't want to play whatever. This year, that year, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna take him. That's my guy now. And best believe he went on to win a Super Bowl. Okay, because he's good. But the public just made him look bad. Who else? Caleb Williams. I wasn't big on him going into the NFL, but everybody think he sucks now because of one bad year. Okay, cool. I'll buy stock in that. I'm a Caleb Williams guy this year. That's my guy. That's my guy. I'm a Caleb Williams guy. JJ McCarthy will struggle this year. This is his first year in the NFL. He's came from an offense where he handed the ball off all the time in Michigan. He played in a Jim Harbaugh offense. What happened to Justin Herbert's passing production this past year? It went down. You know why? Because Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football. In college, all they did was run the football. So J.J. McCarthy's going to an offense where they want to push the ball down the field to Justin Jefferson, to T.J. Hawkinson, to Jordan Addison. It's not going to be this smooth transition everybody's thinking about. So J.J. McCarthy will struggle this year. The Vikings will not make the playoffs. The public going to say J.J. McCarthy is trash because guess what? When you ask every Vikings fan about J.J. McCarthy, oh, he's the next big thing. Oh, he's going to be the best quarterback in the league. Oh, he's this. He's talented. He's gifted. That's all I've been hearing. All of them are going to turn their back on J.J. McCarthy. Real. Kofi will say J.J. McCarthy sucks by the end of the season. Kofi has told me, and this is the Vikings fan we're talking about. He's told me that J.J. McCarthy will be the next big thing. He will turn his back on him at the end of the season. What am I going to do? I'm going to scoop him up, and next year, I will be a J.J. McCarthy guy. That's my bold prediction. And it's really not that bold because it's going to happen. All right, so that is my bold prediction
So you
for the
think
2025
J.J.
season.
McCarthy in the future will be successful?
Yes. He needs a year to adjust to the NFL. They're putting too much pressure, and we all do this. We put a lot of pressure on these rookie quarterbacks, on these rookie players. When they have a bad rookie season, we say they're bust or they're terrible, right? Everybody can't come into the league like C.J. Stroud and Jaden Daniels. Everybody can't do that. All right, JJ will struggle. He will struggle this year. There is no ifs, ands, but he will struggle this year, and the world gonna turn their back on him. And I'm gonna pick him up, and he's gonna be a J Best guy. He will be a J Best guy. So that is my bold prediction for the 2025 season. Basically saying JJ McCarthy will have a terrible season. That's basically what I'm saying. Which is like, it's not that bold. I think this is going to happen. I think it's really going to happen. So Rell had the crazy bold prediction. Jerrick had it was bold, I guess, but I think we all kind of think that's going to happen a little bit. And then me, I just have something that's going to happen. JJ McCarthy will be my guy. But all right, that is it from today's episode of the NFL Vault, y'all. My next couple episodes will be with other people, not with Jerrick and Rell. So y'all will see Jerrick and Rell again whenever we start our newest season of the Straight to the Point podcast. All right, but y'all stay blessed. Much love. Please, please, please follow my accounts at the bottom of the screen: Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. And also, please like, comment, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. All right, but that's your boy J Best, Rell, Jerrick. We out. And the vault has been closed. And that's a wrap for episode 1 of the NFL Vault. If you enjoyed the show, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe, and also share with your friends, family, and fellow football fans.